I think that talking male Goldens is easier first than females because it seems like it's okay. So this is what I'm saying to the people who buy a puppy from us is that the research indicates that for a male who has not finished growing, that he has a much higher risk of orthopedic conditions and cancer, the deadly cancers, than if you let him get to maturity before neutering.
Yes, that's true. It's a much higher risk. Depending on the study that you look at, the risk may be more defined, if 10 times, 4 times, right, whatever. But it's a significant, and I use that term both statistically and just for the impact that it has. It's a statistically significantly higher difference. But with orthopedic conditions in golden retrievers and cancer, the hemangiosarcoma, lymphosarcoma, mast cell tumors especially, those risks are much higher, where you're definitely going to notice it. It's going to be magnitudes higher for dogs that have been neutered or spayed. We'll get to that, but neutered younger than full maturity, so 1 to 2 years.
So then in Goldens, is it also true that if your male reaches 2 years of age, that at that point then you could neuter and you wouldn't be seeing the same level of risk?
The studies that have been published so far have shown that with male Goldens, if you allow them to reach maturity sometime 1 to 2 years, depending on the study where they made that cutoff or noticed a difference. I think most of them said 1 year, but if you want to be safe, then wait till 2. They don't see a difference after that between males that are still intact versus males that have been neutered after that age.
Okay. And is there any reason that you would keep a male intact?
Well, I would spin that around and say, is there any reason to not keep the male intact? And that's when I would change it. So there are reasons for not keeping males intact that I think are legitimate reasons. Things like, I think probably the most legitimate, in my opinion, would be if you've got intact females in your household and you don't want to risk the accidental breedings. That's totally legit, in my opinion, being a veterinarian who sees the accidental breedings. And we can treat them, but why do that if you don't have to? Because it's a hassle to be around, to have an intact male around bitches.
Yes, it is.
In heat. And they're going to come into season every 6 to 8 months and be there for a couple weeks or more, and that's intense. Lot. Yeah. That's a lot to try. And if you've got a household with spouse and kids and everybody that's managing the dogs, and everybody's got to be careful not to let them be together, it's a lot. And so I totally get that, and I think that's an absolute legitimate reason for doing that.
So you said you would flip the question and ask what's the reason. So if you have an intact female, maybe
that's really the reason.
Okay, that's it.
That's for me. I'm trying to think of like what's another reason for doing that. I have had a couple clients that have wanted to do it. This is strange, but I have had a couple clients because a neutered dog is a lot because they have a lot of energy, and that is true both for males and females. If you neuter or spay, the work drive does decrease. That's a well accepted fact amongst people who have working dogs. They prefer to have intact animals because once they're spayed and neutered, their drive to do their job goes down.
Right.
So sometimes you get people that are like, oh, it's just a lot. And, I want them to slow down. My feeling on that is, well, maybe we should talk about getting a different breed.
Right. Yes.
That isn't so, because there are breeds that are less intense.
Yes.
But, they've already got the dog and it's part of their family. So that has occasionally come up.
Okay. So I go home, I just sent home a litter of puppies last week, right? So for the boy families, the best counsel I can give them is to wait until he reaches maturity. And there's no compelling reason to ever neuter him. But if they need to, for whatever reason, I think daycare is also an issue for a lot of them.
Yes.
2 years. 2 years, and he's gotten the benefits of his hormones, at least as far as we can tell from the research.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I agree with your assessment. I said intact females at home, but there are a lot of boarding facilities that's just their rule.
Yeah, it is.
And you're probably not going to change their minds. And if that's your lifestyle, then you may have to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so wait at least until they're mature.